everyone. I have one question. Have you been to a community celebration, such as a wedding, a rewarding, a graduation celebration? First, thank you so much for having me here. I'm delighted to be here tonight. Today, we are pleased to welcome our speaker, Khalid Rusher, who studied at Southeast Missouri State University. He will be sharing with us a tribute to his dear Aunt Yvonne, who was a powerful woman in our community for many years after a long time fighting with a cancer. With that, I ask that you give your full attention to Khalid Rusher and help me in welcoming him to the stage. Thank you.
As a young girl, Yvonne dreamed of making a change in the world. She attended LSU and received her bachelor's in science degree at Memphis University. Her passions in life included traveling, yoga, dancing, and learning new things while inspiring others to do the same. While Yvonne was in her early to mid-40s, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She was hospitalized during most of this time, and then after about 4 or 5 years, she became clean of it. And then years later, it came back, and this time it took her life. But most of the time, she was in the hospital. But if you saw her, you wouldn't have known any of this was going on, because she was, had the best spirit I've ever seen in my life. Nobody compared to how she acted about it. And she acted as if it wasn't a thing, and acted as if it wasn't a problem, because she just lived her life to the fullest at all times. She was the executive director at the Herb Costin Foundation, which is a cancer foundation in Memphis. She did paperwork and scheduled for events. She worked the events and participated in most of them, like the 5Ks and stuff like that. She raised money even while sick. And Yvonne was a woman who no one forgot. She fought cancer with a spirit that no one had ever seen and never let anyone down. She worked for the foundation until she passed, and she's a person that I look up to and is someone who is a role model for everyone in the cancer community. Although Yvonne's life was cut short, it was lived completely differently. Cancer was a battle she was determined to win, but it came back years later. Although the ones who know her mourn her, they all know that, and Yvonne is the strongest person that I know. Thank you.
It was a sad story, but at least we know that his aunt was really strong, and it's really good for us to know that. Thank you so much again. Next, we have Brian Brown, and he will honor Kobe Bryant with the Community MVP Award. Thank you so much.
His resume really says it all. He has 5 NBA championships, all-team NBA appearances, all-defensive team appearances, all-star game appearances, 2 scoring titles, and he is the Los Angeles Lakers all-time leading scorer. Everybody recognizes Kobe Bryant as one of the greatest players of all time. Over his 20-year career, he accomplished some of the hardest achievements that there were. But not a lot of people pay attention to what he did off the court. Today, we're going to acknowledge how Kobe has helped communities and honor him with the Community MVP Award. Now, for all 20 years of his career, he devoted himself to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He helped hundreds of kids across the country each year, and he quickly became a role model to everybody. When they asked him about it, he said the beauty in doing this is to help inspire others and also provide an escape. In 2009, Kobe Bryant set up a fund in China. Now this fund was set up to support education, sports, and culture programs for kids in the U.S. and in China. Kobe raised $6.5 million from various enterprises, and the first donation he gave was to earthquake victims. Now the donation was for over $700,000, and it helped him gain a large fan base in China. In fact, his jersey sold more than Yao Ming, who was a famous basketball player who was actually from China. Kobe has supported over 7 charities throughout his career. He is an ambassador of the National Children's Charity in Orlando. He supported over 14 causes, and he started a family foundation with his wife shortly after his first MVP season. In conclusion, Kobe has been phenomenal on and off the court. NBA players get paid a lot of money, and it's good to see when they give back to the community. I feel like more players should do this because it really helps. And remember that athletes can have an impact without even playing the game. Thank
you. Nice story. Our next speaker is Sean Blanc. He is going to speak today about someone he was watched give back to the community as much as he wished to in his lifetime. Please welcome to the podium Sean Blanc.
A tribute to a Chicago legend on and off the court. At one point in time, Derrick Rose was a 22-year-old basketball star playing for his hometown Chicago Bulls. He grew up in Chicago, actually, which is one of the deadliest cities in the United States, and he actually lived in one of the most dangerous parts of Chicago, Inglewood. Growing up in Inglewood, most would probably hate the city, especially if you're able to make it out and make it big, like Derrick Rose did. The opposite can be said for Derrick Rose. Though he isn't on top of the league anymore due to numerous knee injuries that he's had, he is still a star in the community that he grew up in. A few examples of these include, early on in his career, he signed an Adidas deal, I believe it was 10 years long, it was worth $190 million. The first thing he did with that was he made sure that his family got paid $100,000 each of those 10 years. And his close friends, $50,000 apiece. Now each of these people did something for this brand, but he made sure that they were included because he grew up with these people and had to go through the struggle that he went through in Inglewood. A little bit later on in his career, he actually donated $1 million to Chicago, which is the most by any NBA player. And this, he donated to a charity supporting teens for internships, actually, after their graduation, after they graduated high school. Actually, just a few years ago, he started a scholarship foundation of his own worth $400,000. I believe it was for four different students, and each of them got $100,000. He made sure that each of them were from Chicago, and each of them had a struggle like his own. A little bit earlier before that in his career, he donated $7,000 to a man who was walking from Chicago to DC in support of gun violence. Like I said before, Chicago is one of the most dangerous cities in America, and he is really big on supporting the elimination of gun violence. He has also renovated a basketball court from his elementary school. I believe it was actually the same exact court from when he went there. He did that during the NBA lockout, so I feel like he did that in a time in which he in which they weren't doing much. So it was kind of like he was putting his money to good use. His NBA contract, which he was not able to use, he put his money to good use. And then just recently, he actually paid for a funeral of a 6-month-old girl infant, who was shot on a street corner while her father was changing her diaper. All of these were done in Chicago, and I feel like with him being from Chicago, it would make you want, like once you make it out, you would really want to get out of Dodge, and try and just I just think it's super important that he's giving back to his community rather than ditching them for the most part. And I think him making it out has kind of given him an opportunity to connect back with his community rather than leaving them. Thank you.
Nice story. Finally, we have Joey, and he has lived in St. Louis for his whole life. He knows the town and the suburb inside, in and out, and he has a special appreciation for the neighbor and the people. Thank you for having him.
I'd like to start off this toast by thanking the neighborhood board for inviting me into the renovation of my neighborhood that I grew up in. It's been a huge honor, a very humbling experience to take part in this. But there's one person that really deserves equal, if not more, respect and thanks. This man's named Henry Comfort. Henry Comfort was the president of my neighborhood as I grew up, when I grew up in it. And he really took form to the neighborhood. He really gave it an attitude, really gave it character. And he lived in the house right across from me, and I almost feel bad because I gave him a lot to handle growing up. Me getting older, I got a lot louder, had a lot more obnoxious friends. My brothers got louder, a lot more obnoxious. And he still chose to help me form into the man I am today. He still chose to push me on my path to adulthood. He taught me a couple of very good lessons. He taught me about patience and lawn care. This man, with every waking moment he had, every dull moment he had, he was always working on his lawn or somebody else's lawn, or the entrance to the neighborhood to make it look perfect, spick and span. If he wasn't there, there's a truck out there doing his job for him. And thank God he was retired, because I saw him every day out in that lawn. But with my lawn looking like a motocross track, which may or may not have been used that way, he had plenty of chances to teach me a thing or two. And this is just one example of him teaching me something that would be a lifelong lesson. Learning the patience to do lawn care, the patience to deal with the kids in the neighborhood, me being one of the oldest. He taught me that if you don't have that, people can't look up to you. If you don't have patience for them, they won't have the patience for you. If you show that you care about your house, you show that you care about them, they'll look good. Your lawn will look good. Now, this man genuinely cared about the neighborhood, genuinely cared about the neighbors. He loved everybody, and he was willing to spend time with them, work with them, and help them in any way they could. And I hope that one day, me being the new president of this neighborhood, that I can do the same. That I give that genuine care to each neighbor that comes in the future. I'd like to thank him again, and I think we should all give him a round of applause to Henry Comfort.
In conclusion, that is the community celebration. What we talked about was a wedding, a reward, and a graduation ceremony. The first thing I want you to do when you leave here today is to remember we all have a good story and bad story, but we have to remember always a good story. Thank you so much.